Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer Cross, and I am here with Dr. Taniesha Burke for Parenting the Fascinating Way. I believe we are on episode 4, and Dr. Burke is going to talk to us today about embracing mistakes that children may make and the importance of that. So please help us out. Go ahead.
Hi, viewers. Welcome back. Yes, so as Jennifer mentioned, we're talking about mistakes. And I think it's a very, very important conversation to have because how we react to our children's mistake when they're young will be a predictor for how they will embrace mistakes as they get older. So one of the things I would want you to think about is how do you respond to mistakes that you have made? And how are they linked to your childhood? Because if you look back, you'll see how your parents' response to you influence who you are today. So just like every human being, children will make mistakes, especially very young children as they're learning to coordinate their body movements, they're learning new language skills, social skills, and so on. Mm-hmm. But oftentimes we as parents see children's mistake as something wrong, so we shout at them. Some parents unfortunately may belittle them and saying, mistakes are wrong and so on. When that happens, you're teaching your children that mistakes are wrong. And that is absolutely the wrong message. Mm-hmm. Because again, we're all human beings and we all make mistakes. When we teach children that mistakes are wrong, one of the first things they're going to do is that they're going to start hiding. So they're going to start feeling isolated. And once they feel isolated, then they're not in a space where they can ask anybody for help. Mm-hmm. Also, another important thing is that they are going to experience failure. And when they experience a fear of failure, they are not going to want to seek help, or they may develop this dysfunctional perfectionism. And this is very critical because if children develop dysfunctional perfectionism, what is going to happen is that it's associated to so many psychological pathologies. For example, children who are overly perfectionists, they end up having more depressive symptoms, more suicide ideation. They also have anxiety issues. They also have eating disorders as well. And they are worried all the time about people's expectations of them, their parents' expectations. And so what you see happening is that they don't do as well in school, and they also may have issues socially. So there's a wide array of issues that can come about when we teach children that mistakes are wrong, especially when they then move to the other end of the spectrum and expect to have this perfectionist attitude about them. Mm-hmm. So while one of the reasons also to teach children that mistakes are okay is that we are telling them you have the opportunity to learn. When you share your mistakes, you're actually taking responsibility for those mistakes, and you're showing that, hey, I need help. Mm-hmm. And you can then get somebody to help. Because the thing is, when we make mistakes, we have to realize that people are more forgiving when we own up to our mistakes, even as adults. When we hide it, that's when it becomes an issue. Mm. And when we teach children that they can say, I make this mistake, they're taking responsibility and they're searching for help. Mm. And then when they take that form of accountability, then they can learn from those mistakes. And it's from learning from those mistakes that they will be developing into the human beings that we want them to be. So if children are making mistakes and you want to help them to resolve it, one of the things you can do is teach them how. And there are 3 R's that we can use to help them to resolve their mistakes. The first one is to recognize the mistakes. So that is taking responsibility. I made this particular mistake. You're owning it. You're saying this belongs to you. Then you're saying you need to teach them to reconcile. So if they make a mistake towards another individual, they can say, I am sorry that I've made this mistake. And the third thing is to resolve. So again, when you teach children how to move beyond mistakes, you can say, okay, you've made this mistake. How can we resolve it? They come up with suggestions so that you know how to avoid that particular mistake again. So you are giving them the power and the agency to learn to solve the mistakes for themselves, also learning from those particular mistakes. And when you do that, you have children who are more confident, their self-esteem is higher, and then you have a more well-rounded child instead of one who's constantly anxious. And I should mention something about when we take a negative take to children's mistake, is that we need to realize that when we do that, the spontaneity and the creativity that children have is then dissolved. So they're not going to want to do anything that challenges their ability. They're not going to want to do anything that will give them new skills, because they're afraid that I may make a mistake and then I may look like a fool, or I may look like an idiot. And we don't want that. We want children to embrace the challenges, because if you remain at the same space, you'll never grow. So the more challenge you have, the more likely it is for you to grow as an individual. So as I mentioned, the best ways to help them is to use the 3 R's. Help them to recognize mistakes are okay. It's part of being a human being. I make this mistake, I'm owning it. And then reconcile. I'm sorry for making this mistake. And then third is to resolve it. How then can we prevent this particular mistake? So you're giving children the ability to develop their agency.
That is just great. Thank you so much for that. Just very clear and concise. I love the 3 R's. That's brilliant. Thank you so much. Everybody watching, Dr. Taniesha Burke does teach Fascinating Womanhood classes and many other things as well. So please visit her website, TanieshaBurke.com, and I'll be sure to put that into the message. And next week, we're going to be talking about how to reduce whining in children and complaining, correct? Whining and complaining, and which is perfect for summer break. If you're spending a lot more time with your kids, maybe you're noticing that they're whining and complaining more. So I'm looking forward to that. Any other final comments for us?
The only final comments is to remember that our children are just like us. And we should have more patience and empathy with them, and to remind them that mistakes are normal. We will always make mistakes until the day we die. Children may see that as impossible, like, oh, you make mistakes, mommy or daddy, but to remind them that we all make mistakes and it's okay. And it's good to own our mistakes and then seek help to make sure we learn from those mistakes and move beyond them.
Thank you so much. So great to see you. Take care, and we will talk to you soon. And everybody watching, please like, comment, and share. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.